Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of r/ProRevenge. My name's Ryan, the official host here on Reddit Voice, and I look forward to bringing you guys today's top stories. Before I do though, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button, as well as make sure you got notifications turned on, that way you could stay up to date with all the latest and the greatest. Don't pay on time? Alright, let's play that game. I know this is long. I feel it's worth it though. I'm not an English teacher, sorry for my poor grammar. I am just a boyfriend. My significant other worked at a private school in Southern Korea, also known as Hagwon. Hagwon teaches all kinds of subjects, and this particular one taught English. They'd hire native English teachers from around the world to come to Korea just to teach English. Although I had never taught English in Korea, I've been in Korea long enough to be very familiar with the laws, practices, and heard numerous horror stories. I am also good friends with a Korean who is a lawyer that specializes in business disputes. So I met my girlfriend, and she was on her second contract in Korea at a new school, as the first school she worked at, the owner retired and shut it all down. That was actually a pretty positive experience. He always paid on time. When he informed everyone he was shutting down the school, he'd of course paid out everything agreed upon in the contracts, but also any unused vacation time, sick time, plus he would double that year's bonus as a thank you. My girlfriend told him in her contract she had a free flight home at the end of the contract, but wasn't planning on using it. So the owner of her first school told her that's fine and he'd just pay her an extra $1,000, as that's what the flight would cost anyway. So my girlfriend found a second school to work at after her first school shut down due to retirement of the owner. However, the second school had some warning signs that I was concerned about. 3 foreign teachers, all are on first-year contracts. Typically, if a school's good, you'll get a few teachers who are willing to sign on for a second or third-year contract. Not the case, which I felt was odd, especially for a school that had been around for years. The school had a pretty low student population count, just under 100. I've always heard you want about 50 students per teacher for cash flow /etc. Unless you're a high-end school. Also, apparently payday was supposed to be between the 10th and the 15th. They said in case of a holiday or a weekend. Well, not my business, and this was still very early in our relationship. 2 months into our relationship, my girlfriend's annoyed. I find out that her school has only paid half her salary and will be paying the other half in 1 week. That was a massive red sign to me. I gave my girlfriend advice on what to do at that point, and she ignored me, saying they're just having a little cash flow issue, and some students haven't paid on time. Okay, whatever. 2 months later, we get invited to a dinner hosted by the owners, a husband and wife. I got off work early and headed on over. Red sign number 2. Both husband and wife drove very, very nice cars. The wife had a Tesla and the husband had a BMW 5 Series. Off we go to dinner. I get to dinner, and my goal is to learn as much about my girlfriend's school owners as possible, so I jump into pleasant conversation. More red signs to follow. They have 3 kids, 2 young ones and 1 older one. The 2 young ones attend numerous hagwons for various things. This is expensive, and their oldest is attending college in America. Also expensive. They live in the rich part of town in a very large apartment, which I was able to find out is financed, aka high payments. They're about to start a new marketing campaign to get more students, as numerous students have dropped out lately. They know they don't have the student population to maintain what they need to maintain. Red signs are going off in my head like this place is heading straight for the fucking cliff, and everyone needs to jump ship right now. Not enough students, owners have a ton of bills, they won't be staying in business long. Again, not really my place to say anything at this point, but I took a mental note. Next month, girlfriend's pay is late again. Let's just say she kept telling me to mind my own business each time I tried to give her advice. This went on for 3 months, and finally she went an entire month without getting her full salary. She got about a third. Final red sign. Girlfriend comes over to a letter on her door of her apartment for eviction. You see, in Korea, it's common for the school to pay the rent and provide housing. Apparently, they haven't been paying rent. Girlfriend's mad, she's broke and about to become homeless. The time for action is now. Remember when I said I knew what to do? The ProRevenge starts here. I had her check her national pension, tax records, and healthcare info, all of which are legal requirements for her to maintain her visa. Even though her school hasn't paid those things for months, she's required to pay them. I'm fuming pissed. The school's royally effing over my girlfriend, and that is not cool. My girlfriend's distraught cause she's a very prideful woman that now has to ask her boyfriend, that's me, for help. I pull into the savings and pay up all her requirements and set up regular monthly payments to ensure that even if her school doesn't pay, which they haven't, she can maintain her visa. I then ask her for a favor. I want to sit down with her co-teachers. Experience has taught me she's not the only one getting effed over. However, you do know what the beautiful thing about this is? You see, the Korean government is sick and tired of schools bringing over foreign teachers and effing them over. In the past, those teachers have gotten effed up, have gone crawling into their respective embassies, oftentimes homeless, penniless, with nowhere to turn, because their employer didn't have the resources to meet their contractual obligations, and many schools were getting shut down, especially on the third complaint. I tell all of her co-teachers to keep trying to go to work. They have to maintain their visas, and I would get back to them in a day or so. I'm also good friends with a Korean who is a lawyer that specializes in business disputes. Remember that part? This lawyer and I go way back. I've known him for the better part of a decade. He's helped me navigate my divorce. I gave him a couch to sleep on when he was going through his divorce. I once loaned him money, he paid me back, and we both really liked helping each other out. Now I'll spoil the fun for you. No, this lawyer, my friend, is not going to be suing the school, but I called up my friend and said, hey, I want to go drink some soju and talk to you about something, and maybe hit you up for a favor. He goes, sure thing. We go off to our favorite barbecue place, start pounding back the soju as I explain to him the situation. He's getting madder and madder. He is upset because he feels this is giving those foreigners a bad view of his country, and he hates Koreans that make Korea look bad. I ask him to help file claims with the labor board, with the goal of getting them paid, getting them a letter of release so they can switch to D10 visas and find a better school, or leave Korea altogether if they choose, and getting the school shut down. Now, my friend wouldn't be suing the school as a government-appointed lawyer would be. Since this is a labor board issue, he really doesn't need to do much. However, when a Korean lawyer who specializes in business law calls the labor board to file a complaint about a breach of contract with an English teacher against Hagwon, that carries more weight than if the teacher goes through it themselves. Also, I feel like it helps the communication and eliminated potential language disputes. This would be compounded by the fact that if each of those teachers filed separate cases against the same school a few days apart. He agrees to help. Strike one. Girlfriend goes up first. My friend sits down with her, collects what evidence she has, calls the labor board. Complaint one filed. Bam! Girlfriend goes to school and her boss is pissed. Boss approaches her and asks, how can you betray me? My girlfriend just says, pay me my money. Boss asks, how can you do this? Girlfriend said she smiled and said, this is just the start. Strike two. Strike one is still underway with the labor board coming down on the necks of the Hagwon owners demanding payment. Demanding to know why my girlfriend hasn't been paid. Friend calls the labor board. Same case manager, he files case number 2 against the school. Next day, my girlfriend and strike 2 teacher are called into a meeting with her owner and husband. They want to work out a payment plan and give them a letter of release. Girlfriend says full payment in full of all money plus bonus for completion of contract prorated for months completed or no deal. The owner tells her that's not possible. Girlfriend said that's fine, full payment or no deal. Strike 2.5. My friend finds out what the Hagwon owner tries to do. He advises my girlfriend and her co-teachers that if it happens again, don't engage in any negotiations. Hand him his business card and tell them if they have a settlement offer, they can just call their lawyer. He gives the business card to all of the teachers. Strike 3. Bam, wham, open up a can of worms, folks. We are here. Co-teacher 3 goes to my friend. He calls the labor board, and guess what? Same case manager has gotten 3 valid labor disputes over a breach of contract from the same school, all in a matter of 2 weeks. This school is now not only a liability to its employees, but the Korean government. The hits land. Labor Board apparently called the school, demands that all salaries, pension payments, taxes, health insurance premiums, and rent be paid in full within 10 days, or the education licensings and business licenses will be revoked and the school assets will be seized and sold and paid the teachers what they're due. In addition, creditors, etc. will also be very likely owed money, and they will be paid. Left Hook lands. My girlfriend said the next day at school was crazy. The owners were freaking the fuck out. Their entire lives are falling apart. They had a government lawyer so far up their butt they couldn't even sit down. That's when the owner decided they'd pull all the teachers into a meeting and work out a settlement. Keep in mind, at this point, the school owed approximately $20,000 in back wages, healthcare premiums, pension payments, and future liabilities on top of whatever rent was due for all of the apartments, which by this point were all under separate eviction proceedings. The owners offered each of them $1,500 in cash if they would be willing to drop the labor dispute. Each one of the teachers pulled out my friend's business card and said any settlement offers should be made to my lawyer. I wish I could have seen this happen. The owner grabs the business card, looks at the teachers, and goes, "You have a Korean lawyer?" They answer, "Yes." "You all have the same lawyer?" They answer, "Yes." Can you imagine having 3 separate legal issues from 3 separate people and finding out the same lawyer is representing each individual suing you? How that must feel. Will you take the 1.5 now and we work out a payment plan? They all say, "Talk to my lawyer." At the same time, they leave the meeting. That night, all 4 of us partied and they all felt like complete badasses. Their owners now knew how truly fucked they were. We had a pretty good party that night and the end was near. The owners dodge a bullet for now. The labor board was really pissed. According to my friend who was following up with the labor board, the proceedings to resolve this were being fast-tracked, and the labor board was deadly serious about shutting the school down if they couldn't pay by the deadline. Apparently, the owners were trying to secure a loan to pay the teachers and keep the teachers employed and the school open. They filed for extensions and got some more time. They did pay out partial salaries, which helped the teachers get day by day, and by this point my girlfriend had already been evicted and was living with me as I was supporting her. She was loaning her partial payments to her co-teachers who didn't have the same support. "Sir, it is time to drop Fat Boy." It was a Thursday. My girlfriend had just arrived at work. Yes, she's still legally required to work at the school that wasn't paying her. When shortly after she started, a bunch of Koreans arrived in suits, posted up notices. 15 minutes go by and one of the Korean men in suits step inside of the classroom, introduces himself and says all of the students are getting bused home for today. All the kids are loaded onto buses and each one given a notice to give to their parents. My girlfriend's instructed to wait until all of the students are gone. Processes take about an hour and then my girlfriend is told that she can go home and the labor board will contact her for the next step. They step outside and there's a moving van with a few Korean men waiting around. My girlfriend calls my friend the lawyer who calls the labor board. The school has been foreclosed on. Their assets are going to be seized and sold to the teachers so that they can be paid out for the proceeds of the sale. If the school doesn't have enough assets to cover the salaries, payments, etc., the government will seize any assets of the owners to pay. The teachers now had a judgment and the court are going to collect and pay out on it. The dust settles. 2 months later, one of the co-teachers opted to fly home my girlfriend, and the co-teacher that decided to stay in Korea found a much better school to work at. And my friend calls me all excited and told me he just got off the phone with the labor board. Enough businesses and personal assets have been seized and sold to pay all of the teachers what they're due. Each teacher will have $300 deducted for the lawyer fees. Not for him, he did all of it for free, but for the government lawyer who handled the case behind the scenes. Also, the owners have been permanently barred from ever opening a business, and the education boards have barred the owners from operating in any school setting again. No idea what happened to the owners after this, but life goes on. My girlfriend and I took a nice vacation on her back pay and put the rest in the bank. It felt good to win. TLDR, school didn't pay my girlfriend or her teachers. I asked my friend who's a lawyer to help them, and her boss lost everything, so they get paid. And there you have it, folks, the end of the epics. If you liked this video, be sure to leave a like as well as subscribe with notifications turned on, that way you could stay up to date with all the latest and the greatest. As always, my name's Ryan, the official host here on Reddit Voice, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.